All right, what is going on, everybody? This is Sparkle Fresh, and we are back with another playing lesson on Powerstar Golf for the Xbox One. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about driving. Hopefully this video won't be too terribly long. There's not as many variables in driving as there are in other aspects of the game, but you know, there are scenarios that arise where you do have to think. You do have to set yourself up, and having a little more knowledge can definitely help you out. First, I just want to say that this might be a useful tip for some people, especially if you're playing on a larger television. You always want to make sure that you go into your settings and switch it over to a game mode. Almost every television has this nowadays. And what that'll do is that will help to cut down your delay time. Anytime you have a game, a golfing game where there's a 3-point clicking system, having that delay can mean a lot. I don't know if any of you guys are struggling with that, but same thing with a game like Hot Shots Golf. Even if it's just a few millisecond delay, it can definitely affect how you're hitting it. So if you're having trouble hitting that strike zone consistently, getting perfect strikes, try that out. I think that'll help you a little bit. So let's go look at this shot. Oh, didn't mean to do that. All right. So let's come up here. This looks fairly straightforward. However, this is something worth noting. This entire green is sloping from left to right in this direction. So anytime you have a slope coming from one side to another, whether it's from left to right or right to left, one good thing to remember is that if you play a shot, a hook shot or a fade, going into that slope, it'll help to slow the ball down. As opposed to if you were just hitting the ball straight, or if you had you're curving the ball to go downwards towards the slope, it will roll quite a bit more. So if you ever have to hit into a slope and you want to stop it a little bit shorter, just hit it into the slope. So on this one, I would want to hit a hook shot. That way, as the ball's coming in, it will hit into that slope a little more, slowing it down. Now, when you're thinking about hitting drives, a lot of the holes are pretty straightforward. You can just kind of grip it and rip it, do whatever you want. But a lot of times you have to put a little bit of thought into it. You have to think about your next shot. Is there any trees in front of you? Is there any trouble? What kind of angle do you want to have into the pin? And what's going to be the most safe? The wind will not affect drivers as much as it would shorter irons like sand wedge, pitching wedge, 9-iron, 8-iron, because the trajectory is going to be a little bit lower, and the ball flight will be a little bit lower. So the wind's not going to affect it quite as much, but something worth taking into consideration is that the strike zone will be a lot smaller, and if you miss that strike zone, you will be penalized more. So it's always good to, leave a little room for error, just because you don't necessarily want to be hitting out of the rough or a bunker. So when I'm looking at this shot right here, it is fairly straightforward, but we do have the slope in front of us. Not too much going on directly in front of us. But like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep this. I'm going to hit a hook shot. It's going to be hooking into the wind a little bit, so it's going to hold it back just a touch. I think we should be good there, and I'm just going to give it a go.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't really the best example of that, but you did see the ball it hit into that slope, and it didn't have much run out to it, even though it kind of, we kind of landed in an area where we're going uphill now. You still get the idea, and it will work in most scenarios. All right, we're back, and this tee shot has more options for sure. Let's go up here and check this out. This is 31 feet uphill. I could tell you right off the bat, I would not recommend hitting it in this area at all, unless, of course, you're trying to break a world record or something along those lines. But because we have this giant ridge right here, this is all rough and trees, it's just not worth it. When you're hitting a drive this far uphill, and we have the other options that we do, it's just not worth it. This hole is really short. You always got to think about your second shot. So even though this looks a lot farther away, man, I did not mean to do that again. Even though this looks farther away, if we hit it up in this area and we make sure we're past these trees, you always want to look in the direction that you're going to be hitting your second shot, because if you have to hit it over these trees and your club does not have enough loft to it, you might hit the top of those trees, and that's just something you don't want to do. So if you can hit it up into this region, we're still going to have a relatively short shot for our second shot. So that is going to be something to consider. There's a lot of room here, not a lot of trouble, and it's a good option. Our next option is in this direction right here. Let's go check this out. This is a nice spot. We have a decent green to work with. There is a bunker right here, but we're hitting it uphill, so if we put some backspin on this shot, we should be able to stop it fairly short. We could probably even come down a club. Yep. We can come down a club and still feel comfortable here. You might be worried because there is a giant slope in front of us, but because our next shot will be so short, that will not affect us even a little bit. I mean, yes, you're going to have to use a little bit of thought to judge the distance. You're going to have to hit it a little bit farther than you normally would have, but not quite that much because it's still going to be a short iron. So because this shot is so much shorter, and to me that makes this a better area to hit it into. Anytime I can get a shorter club in my hand, and the difference between this shot and the other shot is going to be about 3 to 4 club differences. So, the shorter club you have, the higher accuracy, the higher probability for a perfect strike, the more spin and the more control you can put on it. And overall, it's just going to be a lot easier. So this looks good to me. I can use a 3-wood here, even easier to hit than a driver. And I think I'm going to take this option.
Perfect shot.
So I hit it as hard as I could, got a perfect strike, put the backspin on it, right in the middle of fairway, really easy drive. And now for my next shot, I got a sand wedge in my hand. Yes, it is a good amount uphill, but if you just play it in this area, put some backspin on it, you're gonna have a really good shot at birdie. And like I said, unless you're going for a world record shot or something like that, it's just not going to be worth it to try to hit it over that ridge.
Great.
All right. I think I might try to find one more drive. I'm not sure. Let me go check it out. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back, and I think this is going to be the last hole for us. This drive is a little more on the difficult side. We have, this palm tree in front of us. There's a little more wind blowing, and it's blowing to the right, or to the left, sorry. I'm slightly dyslexic. And, all right, so if we come up here and look at this, There's not a lot of room to hit over here, and one of the things we have to be wary of is this tree right here. Our trajectory is going right in the middle of this palm tree, so we're probably going to hit it. And if we hit a fade shot here, because the wind is blowing to the left, our ball's not going to fade quite as much, and if we hit it up in this area, we're going to have these palm trees directly in our way. And we also have this sand to contend with. I mean, there is a decent amount of room up here, so if you were to feel comfortable hitting in this spot, I would go for it. But we do also have more than one option on this hole. So let's go over to this side. Let me bring this back to the center. Let's come up here and look at this. And even though this is kind of an island, as in it is an island, it's pretty safe. You know, there's nothing in front of us, so if we hit it, you know, on this patch of green right here, on this fairway or the semi-rough, then we're going to have a fairly easy shot that is going to be pretty much straight downwind. It's not going to be a crosswind. You know, if we hit it on the other side, we'd have more of a crosswind. So something to take into consideration. But right now, considering this is uphill, let's see if I can drop this down a club. I could. I don't know how comfortable I would feel doing that, even though it is downwind a little bit. You know, I'm hitting onto this little island, so I'm going to want to put some backspin on it. That might be cutting a little bit close, so I would just go ahead, bring it back up, and you just got to trust it. So I mishit that one a little bit. I'm crossing my fingers right now. Oh, so lucky. All right. So I think that's going to do it for the driving video. Like I said, there's not as many variables when it comes to driving, but a few key points that I want you guys to remember. It's not all about hitting it as far as you can every time. Sometimes it is good to hit a 3-wood, a 5-wood, a 3-iron, you know, even a 5-iron. It all depends on the hole and your next shot. You know, if you hit a driver a lot of times, it might not be the best option. So try to remember that. You know, it's all about making those birdies and pars, and you know, challenge yourself to not hit a driver so much. If you guys ever watch professional golfers play live, they'll take out a 3-wood, a 5-wood, a 2-iron every chance they get because it's just easier to hit. So hopefully some of these tips helped you guys out. I'll try to get another video out shortly. Still not sure what I'm going to do. I said I was going to do the rough last time, so maybe I'll do, you know, the different types of rough and how to hit those shots. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you had a good day, and I will see you in the next video.